Welcome to another AriasWave video. In this video, I'm going to talk about ETH. So I've been thinking about ETH for a while now. I don't really post about ETH that much until now. And the reason for that is specifically because of the pattern that has formed since basically let's say 2016, right, on this chart. Now, I don't believe that ETH produced a five-wave pattern anymore. And the reason for that is because of the correction that happened after wave one. Okay. That to me is not a wave two. Okay. If it was a wave two, it would have wave two waves in it. Okay. So to explain in a bit more detail, I'm going to move closer to that time frame, right? So let's go all the way back on a 4-hour chart, by the way, because that's the best way that I can explain this. So after we saw that initial wave one, you've got to ask yourself this question. What is this move here? Okay, now if you're going to tell me, oh, that's a zigzag correction, it's an ABC, according to AriasWave, that's ABC. All right. So with AriasWave, ABC doesn't mean anything. Okay, it doesn't mean a complete correction. In fact, it just means nothing. That's all it means. Okay, in order to dissect this pattern completely to the point where you understand it completely, there's a couple of things that you need to do. Number one is understand the pattern from start to finish. Okay, so I'm gonna lay it out here for you. This right here is an A wave. Okay, and I'll tell you why it's so A wave in brackets. Okay, so that's the first part. Oh, what am I doing? That's the first part of a zigzag, right? Just one little zigzag. And by the way, complete corrections don't just have one zigzag, not one proper zigzag at all. Wave B ended here. Wave C ended here. Okay. So AriasWave tells you everything that happens in between these waves. Okay. So you need 33535 in a nutshell. Let's just make this real easy. The top of this move from here is a zigzag. That's an A. That's a 5-wave move. Correction, 5-wave move. That's a B. Okay. And then there's this thing called a CDE pattern. C, D, E. Right. Now, corrections can sometimes look like 5-wave moves, but if you pull apart the internals, and in this case, I can't zoom in at the moment. So anyway, the point is that you need those patterns in there for it to be considered a complete correction. So it's A, it's B, it's C. Okay, that's my logic. Okay, all right, great. Now let's go back to the daily chart. Okay, let me try and refocus this chart so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so we have one. This is a massive bubble. Okay, this is a bubble wave of epic proportions. Okay, if we had a complete correction in here, I would say, yeah, sure, that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? It looks like 5-wave move, true, right? Now, that's okay if you think that, because we're still going to go down, except it's the way that we go down that is the important part here. Okay, so if this is going to be a C, wave C down, then it's basically still following the Bitcoin pattern. And that means that wave C still has to occur, right? Now, wave C doesn't have to go back. There is no rule saying that wave C has to go all the way back down. No, none of that. Okay, wave C can simply just mean that we'll see a 5-wave move here that could be still unfolding. I'll get to that in a minute. Followed by a D wave bounce, followed by another 5-wave move, and that D wave could expand, etc., etc. We could see things just go higher and higher, right? Like I said to you many times throughout my videos, there is no rule to say how corrections work, right? As in how high or how low they can go, as long as they don't go below the first wave one or wave A in brackets. Okay, so if we zoom in now to the 4-hour chart, so the correction, sorry, the top of wave B ended here, right? So now the job is to figure out what is this pattern here. Okay, is this a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 correction? Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, is it? Well, interestingly enough, you can see this bounce in the market, right? You can see this bounce that's just happened recently. And why has it happened that way? So I can see A, B, C, D, E here, right? But does that mean it's going to keep going higher? Now, this is just an idea. It's not an official trading strategy, you know, with your stop loss here and your this and that. This is just preliminary thoughts on something that I may continue to cover because ETH is pretty big. Okay, ETH could flip Bitcoin. I don't doubt it, right? But the reason why this B wave is so big is because it's popular. It's going to be huge, right? So we've got to try and figure out how huge it's going to be. And the way to do that is to understand, first of all, what kind of correction we're looking at here. Okay, so before we move on, let's just check out the RSI. So in this drop that happened from here, is this drop here? So this move here, that looks like a wave 3. So I believe that's a zigzag right there. This whole thing looks like one big zigzag. Okay, so because we're expecting a wave C, right? Let's just call that wave 1. Okay, so we can do it in red for illustration purposes. That's fine, no problem. Okay, wave 1, but we need a wave 2. Now, when it comes to these type of moves, there's no telling how deep the pullback will be. There's no rule for that, right? It's just a matter of trying to figure out, well, where does it end? Okay, right. So now okay, sorry. Before we go any further, actually, no, let's keep it here for a sec. I see an A, B, C, D, E pattern here, right? Now these are kind of stretched out zigzags, right? Here and here. This one's a pretty sharp zigzag, whereas B, it's kind of a bit of a weird one. But when you look at the whole picture, that's an A. Okay, it's got to be an A because 5-wave moves separated by that middle point, got to be an A. B, okay, I'm going to pass it off. C, yeah, it's kind of funky, but there is still like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 happening. Overlapping is allowed, especially in type 2 weak wave Cs. And then you have a sharp D followed by this pump. Now this pump, I believe, is an E wave. Okay, now those type of moves they're hard to gauge. They're hard to trade mainly because, right, the way that AriasWave works is that you need to break the start of E wave in order to confirm that it's going lower, right? But because AriasWave was built upon the idea of futures trading, right? So levels are important and big stops are not a good thing. You want to have as short a stop as possible. So how would you gauge this, right? So for starters, I can see a complete 5 wave move here. Okay, so wave one ended here, then you have wave two, and then you have a 5 wave move that ended like probably like here, and then you have a sharp wave four, and then a five. Okay, because this is impulsive. So one, two, three, four, five. Okay, so going even closer to the top, you can see that it's starting to hit this. And by the way, I use 500 and 1000 period moving averages. I believe they are the most accurate through my own back testing, and I'll give you some input on that shortly. Right. So first of all, we have what could be a potential wave one down. Okay, this could be potentially the first move down. Then we have like an A, a B, a C, a D, and an E. Right. So we have to break this low in order to get confirmation of price moving lower. So we've seen all this happen here, and it's looking like it's going to keep falling because that E wave, it's just gotten it's just massive, right? And for whatever reason, it's not something that is impossible. Like there's no rule for that. Now, if I go to the daily chart, right? Let's just take away all drawings for a moment and look at strictly this. It hit resistance at the 1000 period moving average, right? It hit the resistance, right? You could see how these moving averages, they're very respected. Um, like, yeah, do your own back testing. That's up to you. But you can see that it's hit this long-term moving average. Look at it. It's just whacked it, and it's just like, okay, great. That's fine. Maybe we're done here, right? Now, don't go trying to pull out your fibs on cryptos and say, oh, but it's the retracement is not big. Are you serious? That type of thinking, fibs on cryptos, you got to take it with a grain of salt, right? Especially if we're looking for a C wave, right? A C wave is supposed to be sharp, but because of the way that this market is very strong, right? So the size of the B wave is huge. So for it to try and produce a C wave, it's going to do it in a weak kind of way, which is what I call a type 1 weak 5 wave move, right? So what is that, right? So that's basically when you get wave 1, a correction, wave 2, sorry, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and then wave 5, right? Wave 3 can never be the shortest, right? And during that correction, you get this type of price action, right? You always get the set of corrective patterns, right? And those set of corrective patterns exist in every correction. Every correction that you ever look at, it's there, right? It's always there. Okay, so this is the type of thing that AriasWave teaches you. The corrective patterns are always there, always. So that's why, like, you can take a look at any chart and you can just tell by the pattern what's going on, right? But you've got to practice and you've got to be a little bit savvy with your interpretations because even I get it wrong, right? So I practice daily. I try to produce as much as many videos as possible, but I'm starting to increase that now because I'm starting to look at top 20, 30, 40 cryptos, and I'm starting to practice how I interpret it, do some leverage trading to confirm my analysis because it makes it more fun when you do some trading. You know, you get to confirm your 6, 7, 8 year old methodology, which to me is like the best thing that I can use to trade markets. Anything else, I think you're barking up the wrong tree, to be honest, right? So, so going back to down the small degree, right? Because you're all probably interested in knowing how can this be a top? Is it possibly a top? Are you sure? Do you know that for sure? Are you guessing? Whatever, right? I counted 5 waves up. It hit resistance. I can see a correction. We need to break this level here, right? 1514, 1514. If it breaks that level, chances are this thing's going to go down probably towards the 500 period moving average on a 15-minute chart. Now, if it does that, it's automatically longer, right? It's automatically going to be longer than this first wave, right? So if it is automatically longer than the first wave, then it's not a zigzag, right? Because a zigzag will typically be a weaker move, right? And if you look at the first move, it's actually a type 1 week 5 wave move. If this is sharper, there's a chance that this is top. Okay, this is a top, and most likely this will keep going down. What's it going to do? Produce another zigzag. What kind of zigzag? I just explained that to you, right? The same kind of zigzag that is right here for wave 1. It'll do a wave 3 zigzag, right? Now, not all cryptos are the same. Some of them have had their move. Some of them are in the process of, you know, producing their moves. Like I give you breadcrumbs from one video to another. So it pays to pay attention to all the videos that I post because I give you a little bit of everything throughout each video because they all kind of interrelate in some way, right? For example, I'll go to XLM, okay? Now recently I said we could be seeing a B wave up, right? Right? And that takes away from the idea that I thought this was a B wave. But what if the same thing is happening here and this is still a B wave? All right, let's just change that back to a B wave for a moment, just so I can mess with you a little bit, right? What if this is not an A wave and this is wave 1? What if any little bounce that happens here, right, from this point on is potentially just a really late wave 2 for another move down, right? We don't know. There is no way to know, right? So, like I say always, we're dealing with probabilities, okay? Because fractal patterns repeat so much. That's why they're so hard to grasp, right? Because all the corrections are the same, but in which way will the impulsive move take you in order for you to determine the directional movement of the entire wave? Like, is this a completed wave or is this part of a larger wave? 5 wave move. That's why I say you have 3 different versions of a 5 wave move, right? You have 3 different kinds of zigzags in terms of correctional expansion, the expanding of corrections, right? That's why I say it pays to learn. It pays to know all those combinations, which I teach. So then you can say, oh, okay, this looks a bit like this, a bit like that. You're not just willy-nilly trading up and down thinking, oh, I know where this is going long term. Maybe it doesn't pay to have that hodl approach anymore. Maybe it does. You need to figure that out. Anyway, I'm here. I'm going to be posting these kinds of videos and tracking these things. So then, I can give you my 2 cents. Okay. So hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. Thank you for watching.